Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, it is 6 p.m. I'm going to open the public hearing on the 2025 millage rate. Mr. Douglas, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council, and for the public, this is the third of three required public hearings on the millage rate. For those of you who may be new tonight or may have forgotten, we did have a administrative public hearing at 10 o'clock on Monday, October 6th. And we had the second public hearing for the Mayor and Council at 5:30 on October 6th, the same day. This is the third required due to the fact that when we did receive the tax digest from the county, we were advertising for a 6.221 millage rate, which is the same as 2024, but because there will be an increase to digest, it is considered a tax increase, therefore we have to have three public hearings. So, for this evening, we're just going to kind of walk through the slides that some of you may have seen, or if you watched No Piggin, maybe you saw the video if you couldn't make it. But basically, the millage rate is the tax rate that is used to calculate local property taxes. Now, there are county property taxes, school property taxes. Both of those are not discussed here. This only applies to city properties, which the City Council has jurisdiction over. In regards to what the property taxes are used for, is to provide services in the city of Jasper. And according to Georgia law, all taxing agencies must advertise a tax increase and hold three public hearings to claim taxes on reassessed properties, even if the millage rate remains unchanged. So this is the notice that was placed in the paper. So you'll see that there was a tentative millage rate adopted of 6.22 mils. That does constitute an increase of 1.39%. Again, we had the aforementioned public hearings previously, so tonight this is the third public hearing, and it would be considered in adopted the millage rate this evening. And just in terms of procedural, we'll get into it in just a moment, but the millage rate is about 30% of the total revenue that the general fund needs to operate. So there's about 70% of other sources of revenues that fund government services. So on the Thursday budget work session on October the 9th, we walked through the budget that Lindsay and I kind of have preliminarily talked to some of the department leaders about. You may have seen it in the paper. That was just to kind of give a preview to council and to the public that we will have a public hearing on November 20th for the budget. So you figure out the millage first. Once council adopts the millage rate, that then allows finance to then set that line item in terms of the revenue that can then be used to finalize the budget. So then we can have the public hearing on the budget November 20th. So this is just, again, another additional information that the City of Jasper has tentatively adopted a millage rate of 6.221 mils, which is the same millage rate as 2024. However, it is higher than the rollback rate of 6.136. The tentative millage rate for 2025 is 6.221. This is a 1.39% higher than the rollback of 6.136. Good luck. So again, this is 5-year digest. It's kind of complementary with some of that wordier stuff, and just kind of blowed out the 2025. That in terms of to operate the general fund is about $8 million. So you can see here that the revenues produced from the millage rate is just under $3 million at the 6.221 mils. So there again, there's a few bits more revenues needed to then help fund the services. So we did provide this last time just to kind of help illustrate in terms of the practical application of the millage rate. It is not something that a lot of folks think about. regularly, so it's important, I think, to kind of go through that. There's an appraised value on your property. There's an assessed value on the property. So the county is the entity in charge of appraising residential and commercial properties. What then happens is the taxing entities, meaning cities, county, school boards, then get those assessed values, appraised values, and the 40% of that market rate is what you're taxed on. So in simple terms, 100,000 appraised, you're only taxed at 40,000. So in terms of a property that has been homesteaded, meaning that you filed the requisite paperwork with the county that says, hey, I live here permanently, this is my primary residence, it's not a rental, it's not a whatever, this is my primary, I'm homesteading it. So at the 2024 appraised value, you can see that the 2025 appraised value did not change. Therefore, the 40% of that, the 40% of that equals the same because the value didn't change, the millage rate didn't change. So, some of you may be interested in what are the implications if there's a rollback. So we added this slide in from the last meeting just to be responsive to, so you wouldn't have to try to calculate when you have it on paper, that basically the rollback of 6.136 at the assessed value, again, it would still be the exact same value as from 24 to 25. It would yield an annual savings of $4.90. So you would pay at the rollback rate, you would pay less than you would have in 24 with the rollback. Now, for a homestead property that may have gotten an increase, you may remember hearing about House Bill 581, and last year, if you went to the polls, the majority of Pickens County voted for House Bill 581, which essentially is a floating homestead exemption, which means that if you homestead your property, that your base year in Pickens County, which was 2024, even though the value increased for market forces, so the value in 2025, you can see this property went up to 341 versus in 2024, it was 239. Because of House Bill 581, what they say is your base year you're being taxed is 2024. So that means that even though this value went up in 25, the tax bill is still going to be 6.221, which is the millage rate from 24, and the value from the base year of 24. So it's going to be the exact same as it was last year. So the implications for a rollback will be, again, exact same thing of the 6.136 mills had the assessed value of your base year, 95,000, is 587, which is a difference of $8.14 savings from, so you'll pay less than you would have last year. So non-homestead properties, so this means that for whatever reason, the person did not homestead, whether it was eligible or not, this is a situation where the property increased from 24 to 25. So therefore, the 40% of the appraised value is higher than 24. So even though the millage rate of 6.221 is the same, because it's going at an assessed value higher, it would be more than in previous years. Now again, because this is a non-homestead, the 581 floating homestead does not apply. So again, the rollback, that 6.136, would be less than the 6.221, and so that would be a difference of 976. So The reason staff provided these additional clarifications is for the general public as well as council for you to see any implications in terms of the 6.221 versus the rollback. However, in light of the fact that just as a standard practice of doing this for a number of years, we are recommending to stay at the 6.221 mills. You may have remembered that from the October 9th work session, we are not really increasing personnel or anything else. So we don't necessarily recommend reducing revenue that you have control over, because there are other revenues that we have no control over. So we do not know. We can forecast and predict. So the November 20th, we'll present the final budget for the public hearing in the December 1. But in light of the fact that we are wanting to maintain at least some consistent with our amount, we recommend 6.221. So that is the conclusion of staff's presentation.
Fantastic. This time for the public hearing, is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item for the millage rate 2025? Anyone present that would like to speak on? With hearing none, I will close the public hearing. This time, I'm going to call the meeting to order for the city council. Ms. Maybe, can you verify roll call, please, ma'am? We have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Full council. Council, you have before you the agenda. I will yield the floor for election.
Make a motion, we accept the agenda as distributed. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Next item, consideration of the 2025 millage rate. Mr. Douglas, do you have anything you want the city manager's office would like to add?
Just to recap, we have completed the 3 required public hearings of the administrative at 10 o'clock on Monday the 6th of October, 5:30 before the electing body, same day, October 6th. The third one we just completed. As a reminder, we did have the budget work session before y'all on October 9th, and we do anticipate on whatever direction council provides this evening with the millage rate. Lindsay and I will then begin plugging in the numbers to then get out a budget to you all. We'll do the advertisement of the budget. It'll be at City Hall. And so then that way, by the time we have the November 20th public hearing, you and the public will have access to the final budget that we would hope to adopt December 1st.
Thank you, sir. Council, nothing further from staff. I'm going to yield the floor for the consideration of the 2025 millage rate.
Make a motion to set millage rate as a rollback rate of 6.136.
I have a motion for a rollback, and that was for 6.136.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion. Do I have a second, council?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for a rollback. Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Next item, city manager's office.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Douglas.
Yes, sir. So we have got before you 3 items that we just kind of wanted to get. 2 of them, we do need direction. I think that Kim is going to probably give an update first and then kind of transition into the GEFA modification. And then I'll talk about item C, and then that'll be it. Kimber?
Yes, if you don't mind, I would appreciate being able to switch those around a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. Go
So
ahead.
this evening I wanted to provide an update on all of our GEFA projects because we have had significant action and things going on. And so I think it's important for all of you to hear this as well as the public. So clean water, which is sewer, loan project number 1. That is the sanitary sewer collection system rehab project. So this project was awarded to Inliner Solutions. They started work towards the end of September. So they have completed nearly 50% of the cleaning and televising of our system, which is step one. You gotta go in, clean and televise, see where the issues are, and then provide those videos to our consultant so that we can come up with a rehab plan. That also involves some manhole inspections. We have jumped a little bit ahead because we had issues on Millage Drive that everyone is aware of. We did have to go immediately into repair rehab mode. That work is completed. But they anticipate another month or so to finish up the cleaning and televising. While they are doing that, they are constantly uploading the videos of the line segments, the manhole inspections to GMC so that they can start reviewing them and work up their project scope. We already know that we need a price for root cutting because that is something that is being found, heavy root intrusion in our lines. So they will be providing us a price for that as a part of a rehab project as well. They have found manholes that we had no idea that we had because they've been buried. They have provided quite a bit of clarification on the pipe size for our gravity main. On one side, that's good because it is a smaller pipe size than what we had record of, and so that is a lesser cost for cleaning and televising. It's also a lesser cost for whatever kind of rehab needs to be done. On the negative side, though, we have smaller pipe than what we had anticipated, and so smaller pipe can provide capacity constraints, okay? So all of that has to go into the model so that when we are evaluating future projects at whatever time in the future that is, all of that will have to be factored in, and it could be that a developer would be invited to help us with upsizing if that is needed for that project. The second sewer project, or the clean water loan project, is the master lift station. We opened the bids on this project on Tuesday of this week, the 21st, and I am thrilled that we had 9 bidders. That is terrific. We had 4 of those bids that came in under budget, and so GMC is in the process of evaluating those bids, checking references, and they should be providing us an update and their recommendation for us to bring to you at the November 3rd meeting for contract award. So good progress being made on that. Once that project is awarded, then we would have contract signing, pre-construction meeting, and then get the schedule for their work. We move on to the drinking water projects. There are 2 projects under that as well. The first one is the water treatment plant. That is the rehab project plant. That one we opened bids on October the 16th, and I don't have great news on that one. Unfortunately, we had 2 bids, and they both came in at about 2.25 times higher than the money that we have to spend on that project. Kinley Horn is our engineer of record on this project. They have provided to us an initial evaluation based on what kind of experience the companies have, bid totals and things, and they have provided a recommendation to us if we were to proceed with a full project, meaning that we would be proceeding with a project that has come in at 2.25 times more than what we have to spend. As things stand right now, we don't have that money. We don't have that available through GEFA. And so what we are asking you this evening is to authorize our consultant to be able to work with both bidders to negotiate on pricing and then also negotiate on a potential reduced scope, which would get us back into the budget that we have available and still do the very basic required rehab work that we just have to do at the plant. This would set us up for a future project, maybe a phase 2 at some point in the future if we were able to get funding in some other method, or a future GEFA project or something like that but then you would just be able to pick up from that and complete the work. So let's move into the second item, which is the loan modification. That is on the drinking water loan. So the water treatment plant project and the upgrades to the distribution system project. As a background, that total amount is $3.5 million. And just for everyone's information, we allocated it out, $2 million for the water plant, $1.5 million for the distribution system upgrades. When this loan was initially developed, we had to provide an anticipated schedule to GEFA. And that's on preliminary engineering, surveying, bidding, contract administration, and then construction. December of 2025 was our estimated date for completion, and we are clearly not going to make that. So, we do have to modify that loan. GEFA allows you to do that 2 times before they charge you a loan modification fee. This is our first modification. So what we do is I have a letter from GEFA, it's a form that the mayor will need to sign saying that he acknowledges that we're turning in this loan modification request. There is no charge. We supply a letter from the borrower as the city explaining why we are asking for the loan modification, what our challenges have been, and then GMC will also provide a letter as the engineer of record stating, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we focused on, this is why the project has not been able to meet this schedule, and this is what our new anticipated schedule is. So, GMC is working on that letter. We should have it within the week. We would go ahead and submit that to GEFA for their approval, and they've advised this is pretty much just procedural. So get it in, we'll take care of it. And as I mentioned, there is no loan modification fee. So this is merely extending the schedule out on this project. Let's see here. So with the distribution project, what becomes kind of tricky is that we originally focused on a couple of different projects. One being just a true replacement project because the system had been worked on and worked on and worked on. And then another project that would actually strengthen the interconnect that we have with Cherokee County to increase our ability to be able to purchase finished wired. GMC came in May to a work session. They presented on the options. Their recommendation, obviously, is if we have to choose when we bid them out, they recommend going with the interconnect strengthening project because that gives us the ability to increase our available capacity. Our intent was to bid both of them out together. See what kind of numbers they came in on. If we could do them both, then great, we do them both. If not, we would go with the interconnect strengthening project. After they presented and we were working through our SPLOS list is when the potential for a regional partnership with J. Gilmer Water and Sewer Authority and Pickens County for the new groundwater source that J. Gilmer has recently permitted. That came about. And so our focus has potentially shifted a little bit on what makes the most sense for this project now. The part that makes it very difficult is that we don't have a schedule at all for J. Gilmer. We've all sat down and agreed, all three of us, hey, we want to work this out. The city needs this amount of water initially, and ultimately we want to be able to buy this amount. The county has said, hey, initially we need this amount of water. I don't know whether they've provided an ultimate build out or not. J. Gilmer, though, because the source is in Gilmer County, has to work through their negotiations with the property owner that the mine is on. And then all three of us have got to figure out exactly what it is that it's going to take to get the water from Gilmer to Pickens through Pickens to our service delivery area and then to where we need it to go to. This is finished water, so it does not have to go to the treatment plant. Like I said, we don't know the schedule. So there is a possibility we're going to have to modify this loan again. Okay, simply based on schedule. And we can without penalty. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. The schedule is very uncertain at this point. But in order to move forward, we must modify the loan at least this time so that we can move forward with Matt being able to negotiate with Kimball Horn, with the two bidders for the water treatment plant. We need to see what's going to happen with LJ Gilmer, what their contract negotiations become. And so I am asking for a couple of things. The first one would be that you authorize the mayor to be able to execute any and all documents associated with this loan modification request so that we can get that out next week when we have all of the documentation. The second thing that I'm asking for, and we can handle these as separate items, is going to be to authorize our consultant to enter into negotiations with the two bidders for the water treatment plant, because we must see what they can do. It may be that they can't negotiate down. It may be that there are components of this project that are so important that we can't get it down to $2 million. I don't know what that answer is right now.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do want you to keep in mind, though, 2026 SPLOST initiative. Okay. We do not know what's going to happen with that. November the 4th, we'll know on November the 5th. We have already obligated at least 60% of whatever we collect towards water and sewer projects. If that project, or if SPLOST passes, you could say, take the full $3.5 million from GEFA, put it to the water treatment plant if we can't negotiate down, and then use SPLOST as we figure out more definitively whatever that schedule is for our LJ Gilmore partnership. I just want you to keep these things in the back of your mind, because obviously you can't make those decisions now. We do not know what is going to happen with SPLOST. But those are possibilities that could potentially happen. So as a reminder, the first thing that we're asking for is authorization for the mayor to be able to sign, execute any and all documentation according or associated with the loan modification request for the drinking water loan. The second item will be to authorize our consultant to start negotiating with both bidders on the water treatment plant.
Those two big one.
Yes, that is Kimberly Horn, Matt Dunnigan.
Those RFPs, are they put in through some state portal, I guess, to capture?
So yes,
Bidders.
so anything over $100,000 must go out on the Georgia Procurement Registry. That is state law. We also advertise in our legal organ, which is the Progress, and we have it on the website. I believe that Kimberly Horn may have had it on their website as well, because they were requiring bidders to go through them to get the plan sets. And there were a lot of plan sets that were actually purchased for the water treatment project. It just turned out we only had 2 bidders.
Thank you.
Anything further from staff before I close it?
Yeah, that is it.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, I'm going to yield the floor for a motion approving the consultant to negotiate with the 2 bidders for reduced scope and pricing for water treatment plant project.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
So,
Motion is taken. Any discussion, council? Did that motion cover what you needed?
yes, to have Kimberly Horn negotiate. That is
Yes.
the board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Council, this time entertain a motion approving for the mayor to execute any and all loan documents that are for the modification to the loan in reference to the
Drinking water loan. And that number is specifically DW 2024004.
Councilman, you have the floor.
The motion, we authorize the mayor to sign a loan modification for drinking water.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is made, any discussion, council?
Two.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council.
So as a heads up, this will be coming for the clean water project as well. That loan has completion as January of 2026. And even though we're well ahead, we're so much further on those projects, we're still not gonna meet construction completion by January. So we will start our first loan modification with the clean water projects. I've gotta reach out to GEFA to get that paperwork as well.
Yes, sir.
So, Kim, can I interject?
You absolutely may.
You got so I told Kim that what I think it's important to do, because a lot of times even the public may be confused about what just happened. So I'm going to try earnestly and intentionally each time we're talking about this to provide a timeline, reiterate to the point of where it will start making sense. So in 2020, there was a lot going on in the world. Okay. In Jasper specifically, in addition to COVID, we were identifying the issue with regards to water. Now, some folks in the community may have already known we did not have a sustainable water source. I've been here less than a year, the city manager, recognizing, hey, we got a water issue. So 2020, water issue. 2022, there is the concerted effort by the elected body to say, look, we've got infrastructure issues as well. So in addition to the idea that there's no water, Pickens County don't got a lake, river, whatever. We got some infrastructure stuff too that probably ain't been touched 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So commission a master plan to look at what it is we don't know. Where's the utilities at? What's going on? So 2020, hey, water issue. 2022, let's look at water issue plus sewer issue plus infrastructure pipes. Okay? So out of that, there's at least probably preliminarily $100 million worth of work need to be done. So Kim, council, they say, okay, well, let's ask GEFA, the state entity that grants and or loans monies to local communities that need it. So let's go ahead and identify about $24 million worth of projects. Okay? And in order to ask for money, whether it's going to be grant money or it's going to be loan money, you have to be able to provide, hey, we didn't just make it up. Here's a third-party entity that has substantiated. Here are some of the challenges objectively. It's not like we're trying to get money just to get. Okay? They come back and say, we're only going to loan you, not gift you, loan you $8 million. And it's going to be for these items that you just heard Kim talk about. So that's in 2024. So we're in 2025. Now, part of the reason there's this movement to move forward with doing something, and the reason why we're putting it out at the staff level, letting folks know, is so that it is known, and therefore the state knows. Therefore, there's a consent order, which means you have to do something with your water, with your sewer. We're going to recognize the fact that you are doing something. You've got staff members, you've got consultants, you're trying to identify money, you're trying to identify how to do something. So you've got a consent order from the state telling you you have to do something with your water, with your sewer. And even taking a step further, it's like, hey, look, there's money involved, there's people who won't bid and bid too high. What are we supposed to do? So then say, okay, well, we do a suspension of new connections to say, hey, we need to have a little bit of a reprieve while we're continuing to work on this. As Councilmember Hannah asked, we asked the world, hey, can you come and bid on this project? And 2 people end up putting it in and bust bids by almost 2.5. So we continue to try to make these progress, but I think it's important to put it into timeline of 2020, we got the issue. We've already had it, but let's identify it. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out in the open. 2022, let's do something about it. Let's commission a master plan to start working on it. Okay? 24, let's try to get some money. Because now that we've kind of worked through some of those, well, you get just a little bit, that's better than nothing. And the idea is we're in 2025 with 2 consent orders. We're continuing to try to do our best by telling folks, by disclosing, being vulnerable, being open and transparent about what it is that we've been talking about for 5 years to get to the point of saying the journey's not over. You just heard Kim. We're going to continue to, move ahead. There's other variables associated with the fact that, there are so many parties at play with regards to the water that we can't control any of that. The sewer, very positive news on the master lift station, because the basis with which one of the issues is, hey, we at least have got positive traction towards that. And that was the impetus of the resolution of suspension, was to say that when the state tells you you have a consent order because you have issues and you need to fix them, and then we say, yes, this is what we're doing to fix them, okay, keep doing that. And hopefully we will get, a positive contract going, we'll get going on the work. Work takes a while. The cleaning and televising, it's going good. That is, and as a reminder, and then this is the totality. So you heard Kim talk about the cleaning and televising of the sanitary sewer lines, okay? That was $1.5 million, okay? I oversimplify, and Dan's gonna call Kim tomorrow, and Kim is gonna give him accurate information that he can write. But in terms of the way that I have to try to comprehend is, you have 4 quadrants with your sewer, okay? The 1.5 million, only cleaning and televising about 1 of the quadrants. And within that 1 quadrant, about 1 out of 8. Okay? So in terms of the 1.5 million, it doesn't go very far. There was a community 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago before COVID, that was able to clean and televise their entire system. I believe, Mayor, when I talked about this, there's probably $1.5–2 million at the time. So again, the reason why we're trying to act expeditiously to get these things going is because any deferred issues of doing what you're supposed to do when you're running a business is only going to compound and increase over time. So I think it's important to note that, sometimes it's just a Herculean effort just to try to look at it, but you got to get going, you got to get started. So I commend Kim, the council, for continuing to move forward, but not every time we have an audience. So good, bad, or indifferent, I appreciate y'all being here for something way different than talking about this, but captive audience, thought it would be worthwhile to just spend our time there.
Thank you, sir. We have general utilities update.
So we did that first. We switched the order around.
Renewal of speed detection device permit.
Yes, sir. So, and Major Davis, I believe, is hiding back there. Chief Dawkins is unavailable, but this is just a renewal of an existing permit with the state. The last time you all signed it was, I believe, September of 2022. They have notified the department that it is due by the end of this calendar year. So I advised Chief Dawkins that because of the fact that they have to submit the renewal online this year, and there are unknowns relative to how the system's going to operate electronically, that instead of waiting until the November 3rd meeting, we go ahead and ask consideration of having the renewal done tonight.
You looking for approval?
Yes, sir.
Council, I want to give the floor for a motion to approve the renewal of speed detection device permit for Jasper Police Department.
So maybe.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you, council. Thank you, sir. Next item on our agenda is an executive session for legal. There's no other item under city manager, correct?
Correct.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, this time we're in executive session for legal.
Make a
Motion.
motion, we go into executive session.
Have a motion,
Second.
have a second, any discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same.